Yo, what's going on, guys? I know it's been a while, but I'm back. So in today's video, I'm gonna show you how to color grade your footage so that you can get it from looking like this to looking like this. But you know what? Hold on. Let me adjust the midtones right quick. Make my face a little brighter. Right. A little bit lower. Right there, perfect. Let me go ahead and slap one of my custom LUTs on there as well. All right, there we go. Let's do it. Welcome to Fulan Creative YouTube channel, where we do gear reviews, tips, tricks, and how-tos for creative professionals and entrepreneurs. So I noticed that anytime the topic of color grading or color correcting comes up, a lot of people are like, oh, that's just too complicated. I'm just gonna film in a standard profile so I don't even have to mess with it. Hey dude, do you know how many thousands of people are using the Canon M50 just like you? Or the EOS R, or whatever camera you're using? Do you want your footage to look like everybody else's? Or do you want it to stand out? Oh man, that's true. You got a point there, buddy. By the way, nice beard. How long did it take you to grow that? Listen, bro, I didn't make this video to talk about my beard. But thanks for the compliment, though. I don't know. I think it took like 7 or 8 months to grow. I quit keeping track a few years ago. But anyway, let's get back on topic. So if you just shoot in the standard picture profile because it's easier, then it's guaranteed that your footage is going to be looking like thousands of other people's footage. But as soon as you start color grading it and giving it your personal touch, it's gonna make your footage unique. And that's what you want, right? And it's not even a complicated process. So here's the game plan. I'm gonna take about 7 or 8 quick clips and color grade them for you and walk you through the whole process. And if you hang around to the end of the video, I'm gonna take those clips that we color graded together and I'm gonna put them into a little cinematic sequence for you, showing you the before and the after. That way you can see exactly how powerful and easy color grading could be. Are you in? All right, good. Let's go. All right, so I'm about to load up DaVinci Resolve. That's my favorite program for color grading. You can pretty much do everything that I'm gonna do today in any professional editing program like Final Cut, Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, even LumaFusion that's on the iPad. Pretty much as long as you have control over your exposure, your contrast, your shadows, your highlights, your midtones, and as long as the software allows you to install custom LUTs, then you're pretty much gonna be good. All right, guys, so here's our first clip that we're gonna work on. This was shot with the Canon M50 in Cine style with the Sigma 18-35. And by the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, please hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification so you don't miss any future content. If you have any questions or you just want to say what's up, go ahead and leave me some comments down in the comment section, as that also helps with the algorithm so more people can find the channel. All right, guys, so here we are in DaVinci Resolve. Let me open up the color tab. This is the color tab right here. Okay, so first thing, guys, look, in this area over here, you got something called nodes. And the easiest way to explain nodes is just basically like if you've ever used Photoshop, you have layers. That's what nodes kind of are. In the color page, that's how they function. So what that does is it allows you to make changes to the footage in layers so that you could take off each change or adjust each change individually without having to change the whole image. So first, we're gonna double click over here. So we're gonna add what's called a corrector node. So that's our corrector node. Once we have that, we're gonna just click over here and hold it down, drag a line over here to this green arrow. And then we're gonna come over here to the square and we're gonna drag a line over here. So that's pretty much it. That's our first node now. So basically you could look at it as our first layer. Now here, this image is exposed pretty much almost perfectly. So it's gonna allow us to get a nice grade, even a heavy grade if we want, without introducing noise and artifacts, even though this is only 8-bit footage from the M50. And the reason being is that the exposure was good. The more off that your exposure is, then the harder it is going to be to grade, and it's going to have more noise and more artifacts in it. So first thing here, this is my first node. I'm going to come over here and basically go to my wheels, my primary wheels. If you look in this area right here, this is called our waveform. So what this is showing us right here, if you look at this line way down here, this represents pure black. And if you look at this line here at the top, this represents pure white. Now, when you're shooting your footage, you have to make sure your exposure is right. And with Canon footage especially, I like to do what's called exposing to the right. That means that I make it slightly overexposed. So the first thing we have to consider, this middle line right here with skin tones, the main thing is to take this one over here, which is your gamma. This represents your midtones, and to just move it up like this. Look, just scale it up until this whole like waveform over here is right in the center. And if you notice now, the image is a lot brighter, and this is gonna be where you want your skin tones to be. So once I've done that, then I come over here to my lift. So this is gonna be the shadows basically. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start lowering that. If I start to lower it all the way, it's gonna be real contrasty. But once it starts to hit black and it starts to stretch this image, you'll see this like this area right here getting stretched out. Then that's when it's going to start to introduce noise. So I don't like to reach it to all the way to black. What I like to do is get it to where it's just about almost touching the black, like right about there. Now with our highs, I can clip the highs over here because this monitor, for example, and this light is the thing that you're seeing that's reaching that level of pure white. If I wanted to, for the sake of bringing up the rest of the image, I can overexpose that area and it's still gonna look all right, because sometimes a monitor, it's all right if it's pure white, or the light is okay if it's pure white, as well as if you have if you're shooting indoors and you point the camera at a window and there's bright sunlight outside, it's okay if that window it gets too close to being overexposed or pure white. Or if you're outside and you're shooting the sky, sometimes you have to overexpose the sky to where it's almost completely white and blown out. And the reason you do that is so that you can expose for your subject, which is a person or whatever else that you're shooting. So in certain scenarios, it's okay to overexpose your image, but in most cases, you can't. It's kind of like you have to use your judgment on that. After that, I'm pretty much gonna just adjust the contrast. I'm gonna add some contrast, all right? And I'm looking out at this area over here, my waveforms, to make sure that things don't go way out of whack. With the Canon M50 footage and Cine style, I noticed that you can go, I like to go like to about 1.2, and that's a nice contrast for me. And then I'm gonna come here to my saturation, and I'm gonna put it to about 54. So that's done on this node. Now I'm gonna come over here, double click on this node, and go over here to add node. The first node was a corrector node. Now I'm just gonna add one called serial. And it's going to add one right here. And this one is going to be for my curves. So now I'm going to come over here and click this over here, curves. I like to use this for establishing what's called the S curve. I'm going to just use this. If I slide this bottom point to the right, it's going to darken up my image. Everything else is good over here. So what I'm going to do now is just make an S curve. I'm going to basically just lower this kind of like mid-lower range a little bit and just a tad, right about there. And then I'm going to come over here to the higher mid-range and I'm going to raise it just a tad. Right about there. Okay. And here, guys, when you're dealing with color grading, as soon as you can see the effect, you probably want to dial it down just a little bit, because at the end, all of this stuff is going to add up and it's going to dramatically change the image. But if you overdo each little element, it's going to make the image look unnatural and it's going to introduce noise and artifacts. And for this indoor footage, I'm thinking about using one of my LUTs called teal and orange juice. So what I'm going to do over here, come over here, add another node, serial. Okay. And for this, I'm going to double click, go to LUTs. All right, go over here to Fulan LUTs, teal and orange juice, boom. All right, now look how beautiful that looks, but it's way too much though. With LUTs, what you have to do a lot of times, you have to tone it down. Depending on the LUT, I would tone it down to all the way as low as 10% and maximum 100%. But it's very rare that you can use a LUT at 100% or even 80%. Most of the time, it's gonna be around 40, 30, 20%, but each LUT is designed different. So for this particular LUT, I like to have it at about 50%, maybe 60%. So the way I'm going to adjust it is I'm going to come over here to this little thing over here. You see this? It says key. So this is going to give me control over my gain on that particular node. And you can do this on any node. I mainly use it on my node that has a LUT on it. And what that means is basically you're adjusting the opacity or the strength of that LUT or whatever is on that node. Whatever changes you made on that node, with this here, you're adjusting the strength. So I'm going to hold it down and just move it to the left until I get to about 50%. So that's about 70. You see, look, if I come lower than 14%, you can hardly see the LUT. Okay, at about 40%, you can start to see it more. And I think it looks good right around, like, I would say, let's say 55-ish. Boom, 55. All right, so look, that's it. That image is done, guys. So look, here's the before, boom. Here's the after. Okay, guys, so now here's the clip. This was shot with the EOS R with the Sigma 18-35, and this one is shot in something called C-Log. So when you use Cine style on the M50, it's trying to imitate this thing called C-Log. So if you don't have Cine style, if you go on my website, fulancreative.com, you can download Cine style there. It's a flat picture profile by Technicolor and it's free. You can also download 2 free LUTs to get you started. And if you like those LUTs, you can also purchase my LUT pack, which is 15 bucks, and it has all the LUTs that you're gonna see me use in this tutorial. Okay, this is a very interesting clip, guys. You have certain color grades that are purely aesthetic. It means all you're trying to do is just make the image pop. But there's some other times when you have to grade, and it's a motivated grade. It's a grade with a more defined purpose. So for example, maybe you're trying to take footage from the EOS R and match it to footage from the A7S III. Or maybe you're trying to take a scene that was shot in the daytime and make it look more like it was in the evening, or vice versa. In the case of this particular footage right here, it was a rainy day. I don't want to add like a teal and orange type of LUT, although it'll make all the buildings pop and the lights pop and the sky pop and it'll make it look nice. But what I want to do here is I want to go for a colder look so that it emphasizes the rain and it emphasizes winter time. So for a colder LUT that doesn't have those warm tones in it, we're going to go for ice water. Boom. Now that's, you know, that looks extremely winterish. That looks like a snowy day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tone that down a lot because it wasn't a snowy day. It was just kind of rainy. So I'm going to tone that down to like about, yeah, right about there. Let's say 25%. And boom, there you have it, guys. All right. That's a done deal.